Hello! Welcome back to my channel. I've got another video for you guys here today, and I've also got a special guest. So special. Look at that face. This is my baby. Her name is Princess. She is the love of my life and everything that means everything to me. Look at her. She's just leaning back. She loves her belly rub. She loves long walks. She loves going outside. She loves COOKIES. And she loves her mama. And I love her. So I just want to introduce you guys to my sweet little girl before we start the video. Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay. So for today's video, I am going to be telling you guys all about what it's like to be on reserve. I have been on reserve for 1 year now. Yeah, it has been a long year too. I'm going to start off by saying this. I don't mean to talk down so much about, in this video, I don't mean to be so negative. Being on reserve is a must do if you want to become a flight attendant. And the longevity of how long you're going to be on reserve is going to be different for every airline. For my airline, it's, I don't know, about a year to 2 years, maybe 3. Due to COVID, a lot of the reserves were extended because we weren't hiring. And depending on what base you're in and how senior that base is, how many people and lines and routes that are going in and out of that base, that's going to determine when you will get off of reserve. So let's start this. What is reserve? Reserve is when you're basically on call. It's a good word, a funny word for on call. How reserve works is when you have finally graduated and received your wings, you're officially a flight attendant, you begin being on reserve. So I'm going to speak as far as what it's like with my airline. Basically, you're going to be on call and you are going to have a set schedule for the month of the days that you will be on call and the hours within those days. And then you're going to have days that you are guaranteed to have off. And then you're going to have a few days in the month. We have 4 that are called movable days. We'll get to those later, but those are also technically off days that they can assign you to work, depending on the situation. So basically, every month you are going to do a bidding process online on your company's website to bid for your schedule for the next month. So around the middle of the month, we do bidding, and then we kind of pick and choose, and it goes by seniority, what lines that we want to work, the schedule that we want. Or if you're not on reserve, you're going to bid for trips. Let's say you're on reserve, you are going to bid for days off that you want, So for me, I don't like to work 6-day blocks, 6 days in a row on call, because that means they can do anything they want with me for those 6 straight days, and sometimes it can be crazy. Sometimes I won't be home for 5 nights, I'll be working those 6 days, and they just did that to me. I got back in yesterday from a 6-day trip, and that's pretty insane. You normally don't get those unless you're on call, unless you're on reserve. You can't just go ahead and bid when you have a schedule for 6-day trips. That's not a thing. But they can build them for you and send you right back out when you're on reserve. So how it works, that's like I said, so we got the schedule, right? You bid for your schedule every month, and you're going to bid for the days off that you want. From there, you're going to also, in that bidding, choose the time slots that you want to be called. So for us, we have 3. We have one from midnight to 10 a.m. We have one from 7 a.m. to 5. And we have one from 2 to midnight. I prefer the 7 to 5. I can't do those 2 in the morning phone calls. I also don't want to be called 2 and later my whole afternoon and day be eaten up and then get called for a red eye or for something in the morning the next day. No, thank you. So I like to do the 7 to 5. In our contract, that's just our call period. That doesn't mean we're going to be working within that block of hours. They can call me at 9 in the morning and assign me for something at 5 p.m. Or 5:30. Because remember, my call period ends at 5, but I can still work after that. They can call me at 4 and assign me for something at 11 p.m. That's after my call period, but I better have made sure that I've gotten rest to work a red eye that night. So that's how the calling and scheduling works. And then before and after your call period, that time slot, you don't have to answer the phone. Don't answer the phone unless you want to work, and you're not going to have a choice on what you're working also. They're going to call you with an assignment and say, hey, Christina, just calling to notify you of a 4-day trip. Your report time is at 8:30 p.m. If you answer that phone, you have to report to work. You can't tell them no. You can't refuse a trip. You can lose your job for that, and you will lose your job for that. So don't answer the phone unless you plan on getting up and going to work within 2 hours minimum, because that's the minimum they have to get you to give you to get to the airport. 2 hours for my company. If you get a phone call before or after your call period and you might want to work earlier, or say it's your day off, you don't have to answer the phone either, but don't ever answer the phone on your day off. Not even any time that you're not in your call period, don't answer the phone. On your day off, you can let that thing ring, let it go to voicemail. They might or might not leave you a voicemail, and if you are free and you want to work, call them back, and you won't have to work it now. Now that you're calling them back, you're not required to work it. But if you pick up while they're calling you, you are required to work it. So call them back and see what they're offering you. Go ahead, and if they're really, really, really busy, sometimes they'll negotiate with you. They'll be like, you negotiate with them. I'm not going to say much more, but you can kind of go back and forth. If they really need you, they're going to let you know. So go ahead, call them back, see if you want to work the trip, but never answer the phone if you're not sure if you want to work 100%, no matter what it is, on your time off. So like I said, they're going to call you during your scheduled block hours during the day, during your on-call day. They're going to call you from 7 to 5 or something, whatever you choose. And then say you have 6 call days in a row. Like I said, they just did this to me. I was assigned for a 3-day trip. In the middle of my pairing, I had to call fatigue because something happened. The fire alarm went off in the hotel in the middle of the night. And since they had me on the phone, they extended me. They could have called me and extended me. They can do all that no matter what, but they did it in the middle of my 3-day pairing for another 3 additional days. So my 3-day got turned into a 6-day. So basically, I was not prepared for a 6-day trip, though I should have been. I'm on reserve. I should be prepared for anything. I didn't have enough food for 6 days. I had barely enough clothes for 6 days. It was unexpected, but that is what it's going to be like when you are on reserve. This is nothing entirely new for me at all. It happens sometimes. So be prepared to work to the extent of your call days, even if they're assigning you a turn. If it's your first day out of 4 and they're assigning you a turn to go to Cancun and back that same day, when you land back in Fort Lauderdale or wherever you're based and you call them, because we'll get to that later, you have to call to be released, they can say, oh no, we're sending you back out to Milwaukee tonight. Yeah, you have 3 more days on your trip, blah, blah, blah. And you have to go. You can't say no. You have all your stuff with you, all your food. You don't get to go home first, most likely. It varies. We have a lot of technicalities into our contract, but there you go. So like I was mentioning just a few minutes ago, let's say at the end of your trip, you are arriving back in base. I'm ready to go home. This is what happened to me yesterday. And it's so frustrating after a 6-day trip. It's like, you just want to break down because all you want to do is go home so bad. You're overworked. I mean, I had a rough trip, but I was like, oh my God, please just let me go home. But they needed me, so I landed in Fort Lauderdale from Philadelphia, and they were calling me on the airplane. But hold that thought. Let's say they weren't calling me. This is what would happen. You land in your base and you finish working, you get everybody deplaned, and you're walking pretty much out the door. You're ready to go home. That's when you start calling crew scheduling to be released. So you're on hold, you're waiting, they answer the phone, you say, hi, my number is 758, I don't know, that's not my number, and I am calling to be released. And yesterday was the last day. I had a day off today, so they still gave me something. So it depends what they're gonna do with you, how many days you have left, like the following days. So they could have given me more of a trip if I had more days. They could have sent me right back out. But what they did to me was they said, okay, well, you have a 2-hour sit. Well, I didn't call them. They called me and I called them back, and because I had to be released. And they said, Christina, we're notifying you for a Punta Cana turn. You have a 2-hour sit in Fort Lauderdale. Wonderful, so I can't say no. I'm in my own home, in my home base. I want to go home. It's been 6 days, but this is the reserve life. These are the sacrifices we make for this job and to gain some seniority. Everybody has to go through this. It is rough. And I just want to say to you guys who are going through this now, or who are getting into the airline industry, you should be doing enough research to know that this is a thing, or maybe I'll be the first person to tell you about this. I don't know, but this is a thing. Reserve is not easy. It is worth it. There are going to be some very difficult times and days where you just don't have control of your day-to-day life and your schedule. The most control I have is choosing what days I have off, and choosing my call period. And I only get those things exactly how I want them now, because I've gained a little bit of seniority, and a lot as far as the reserve group goes. I have very little seniority as a company, kind of at the bottom, but all of us who are at the bottom on reserve, I'm at the top. So I do get the days off. I do get the call periods that I want. But you won't be getting those your first month or two, or who knows how, depending on what airline you're at. You're going to be getting what they give you. And every airline, like I said, their reserve is different. Some of them have 24-hour call periods. Some of them, you're on reserve for a month, and then you have a schedule for 1 month, and it does that back and forth for 10 years. Some people are on reserve for 10 years in the airline industry, or longer. It just depends where you're at. But for me, this is how it is. So they can use you, all of your reserve days. They can do what you want. And then let's say we have these things called movable days. So say I am working, I have 4 days of reserve days that I work, and then I have 2 movables after that. At the end of my 4 days, I finish a trip and I call to be released. If they release me, I'm good. I can have those 2 days off. And if they call me, I don't have to answer on my movable days. Those are still a day off. But what they can do is they can extend me into those days while they've got me there in their hands. Same at the airport, I'm calling to be released, and they say, we're sending you back out and we're going to use your movables. So they can work me for another 2 days, even though I was hoping and supposed to have those days off. But if they do that, they have to replace those days with other work days during that month. So other reserve days, they're going to have to give me to move my movables to another day later on in the month, and you can discuss with them where those are going to go. So that's how movable days work. But once again, if you're off, you don't have to work it. Don't worry about that. Don't pick it up. Don't pick up the phone. Not that you don't have to work it, but you don't have to pick up the phone. That's what I meant to say. Sorry guys, it's a lot, and I'm not even going to be giving you like all the information that I really need to, because there's a lot of ins and outs and details to our contracts. We have minimum rest and a certain amount of hours we can work. There is a lot of details that you're going to need to know. Like when you get hired with any airline that you're going to be working for, please read your contract. You're going to want to read, especially when you're on reserve, the reserve section, and scheduling, hours of service. Go ahead and read all of that, because I'm not trying to say anything negative about crew scheduling. They have hard jobs and they are doing their best, but I don't believe that we have a great relationship with crew scheduling, and that's really unfortunate, at least not in today's time. With my company, I don't think any company does, honestly. I think it's really rough for everybody who's on reserve. But crew scheduling, they can push your contract to the extent, let's say that. They can really, they really push it to the limit. And I personally, I personally have had that happen a few times. I won't get too into it, but my point being is that you're gonna be really working hard on reserve. Um, let's stop being so negative now, shall we? I think we've got most of the points down. You're going to be on call. You're going to choose what days you're on call, and you're going to choose the hours for them. You can be extended, and you have to call to be released when you're finished with the end of each trip, pairing, turn. Every time you're flying, you must call them within 30 minutes of your duty time ending. So, now let's talk about something a little more positive. Being on reserve, yes, it's no fun. It's really rough. But let's talk about when you're off reserve, okay? Because that's the good part. When you're off reserve, life is completely different. Now, I'm not there yet, but I've been doing this a year now, and I've spoken to enough flight attendants and done enough research to know that this is true. You're going to have complete polar opposite freedom and flexibility within your schedule. Right now, you're going to have none when you're on reserve. You're going to have little to none, no flexibility. But when you are off, you are going to be able to drop trips. You're going to be able to pick up trips. You're going to be able to swap trips. Say, at least this is with my airline again. Say you bid for your schedule next month and you've got 4 trips and it's all of a sudden birthday party in the middle of the month, right? On the 15th or the 19th, you're like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to work that. I really don't want to work it. So you can check online and see if there's enough reserves to pick it up. And if there are, and usually there are, you can just drop it. You just give it to the pool of reserves. You give it to crew scheduling and say, I've done my time, I'm sorry, but it's time to do yours. So you can drop your trips and you don't have to call sick. You don't have to use vacation time. You don't have to call out for any means whatsoever. You just drop it. So then now you have this free space of a week or 5 days or whatever it is that you can do anything you want with it. You can just chill at your house. You can go on vacation, a quick vacation, or you can go onto your company website and see what is available for you to pick up that you might like more. So say you really didn't want to do 10-hour layovers in Atlanta and LaGuardia or wherever, you don't like flying to those places. Now you can go look and find turns. Say you want to come home each night for that week. I'm going to pick up 4 turns. Instead of 4 overnights, I'm going to pick up 4 turns and just go to the airport and come back every day. And that's it. No more calling to be released. No more extensions. No, none of that. No more middle of the night phone calls from crew scheduling to assign you to be at the airport at 2:30. You know your schedule. You know when you have to be at work. And I get so excited about it, and it sounds like such a minor thing, but I'm so excited about it because that is something I haven't had for a year. And I cannot wait. I've got like 2 more months, hopefully maybe 3. Watch me get all giddy about it and then it doesn't happen, but 2 more months, 1 more month. Just gonna put it out there. And then hopefully I'll be off of reserve. I cannot wait. I can't wait. So life changes so much. If you don't want to work almost the whole month, like I said, you got to do a little looking and see who's available to work it if you drop it, but you can take off so much time and not use vacation time. It's amazing. This job is crazy. The flexibility is unbelievable, and you wouldn't think so. Like when you're first starting, or if you don't know anything about this lifestyle, this job gives you so much freedom to work the days and hours that you want. It's so cool. And the longer that you are with your company, the better it gets. Like all you have to do with our company is get a little bit of seniority, maybe 5 years, and you're pretty good. Like you're going to start getting things that you want, and you're going to get better trips, You're going to get a lot better schedule. But give yourself 10, 15 years, you're getting whatever you want. You're going to get whatever trips you want, whatever cool countries, layovers, how many hours. You can do so much. And by that time, you're going to learn all the secrets and tricks of the trade as well. So try to stick with the company for as long as you can. Find something that fits with you, with your life, your personality, your home life, where you live, and then stay with it. I kind of got off of the reserve thing, but I'm trying to give some positivity to how amazing and truly different from any other job that it's going to be once you're not on reserve anymore. There's almost no other job in the world that unless you're like a CEO or business owner, and even then you're going to be really, working really hard. There's almost no other job where the hours and days off are so flexible. How often can you just go to your boss and say, I'm not working next week. I'm definitely not working next week. Oh, and instead of not working next week, I'm going to go work somewhere else for that week. And I'm going to work these hours instead. It's like you can't do that like that. I mean, these are like almost guaranteed things. So, depending on the situation, but it's so cool. Once again, I highly suggest this to anybody who wants to become a flight attendant. This is an awesome career. Reserve is no fun. I'm not going to lie to you, but it is worth it. It is doable. You work so hard to get the job in general. Don't quit unless you really have to, unless they're really mistreating you. I don't know, but try to stick it out as long as you can. I just want everybody to be aware that this is what it's like, because we're losing people, because every airline loses people after they're hired because it becomes too much for them sometimes. The reserve is hard and people don't know what they're getting into sometimes. So I just want everybody to know what they're getting into. I did a lot of research before this, so I was very prepared to be working my butt off for as long as I needed to. Please know that this is the life that you're going to be living for a little while, but then once it's done, I promise you it's worth it. I promise you it is going to be a life-changing experience for you and for your family, for your loved ones. Like, it is going to change so many people's lives that are close to you. And you're going to have the best time of your life. You're going to have a great time in this industry. The aviation industry is tough, and it should be, but it is like no other, and I'm falling in love with it more and more every day. Thank you for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, share my video if you want to. I know I rambled a lot in this video. I probably won't be doing a lot of cuts. I don't know. I was just kind of excited to talk about it a little bit because I've been living it every day. And like I said, sometimes it's hectic. Like this week was really tough, but I'm getting through it and I'm almost there. So you guys, if you're just getting started, I hope you're almost there. I hope you can stick it out. Best of luck to you. Safe travels. Bye-bye.